Without any doubt, I mean, it is so fantastic and a privilege to conduct the Berlin Philharmonic, not only for the great quality, which everybody knows, I mean, who doesn't know the prestige of the orchestra, the quality, but once you work with them, you know that they are really extraordinary working also, They are enthusiastic, they work with a lot of love, and, as many times as things they have to be repeated, in a recording that I have been doing now with Sarah Chang, in a recording session, you repeat things, you change ideas and things, and every time they come for another take, they come with the same enthusiasm and the same love for the work that they are doing. I think that they are artists. That's the reason that they don't get really tired. I mean, they work many hours a day, but they work with the same kind of love and care. And I have found a very, very friendly atmosphere, which is extraordinary. It's very encouraging, for the debut. I study, of course, to be a pianist and a conductor before I was singing. I was in the Conservatory, National Conservatory of Mexico, and I used to play the piano, and I used to be, we were to be in the same class studying together Eduardo Mata, which sadly we lost him in an accident, plane accident. He was a very prestigious conductor. He was my very good friend, and together we were studying, and I start also my conducting there. But then I stopped studying because I start singing. My life starts moving into the singing, and I start the first years, of course, I dedicate myself to the singing. But once I established my career as a singer, the fact of being a conductor also, it wants me to continue. And since those years I started maybe doing first, it was very little, maybe I was doing 2 performances in a year, 3 performances, and little by little I went just going further and further, and by now I have done, maybe I do every year a combination of 30 or 35 or 40 between performances, opera performances in different theaters, at the Metropolitan in Washington, Los Angeles, Vienna, etc., and concerts like also with the Chicago Symphony, with the Washington National. I have been doing concerts also with the orchestras in London, and now, of course, this is a great day for me to do a concert with the Berlin Philharmonic. I am convinced that if I was not being a singer, I will continue with my conducting, and I don't have any doubt that I have the tools that they need, to be a conductor. But the thing is that you never have enough time now. Is when I will stop singing, maybe I will be able to answer you that, because then I'll be able also to work daily with the orchestras, because this is the way then you develop, and when I have the time, when I'm working in a production, in an opera production or in concerts, and I have the time to work deeply into the pieces and listen well and know the musicians and really start to have a relation, the music really starts to come fantastic. I mean, this is an orchestra that they play spontaneously they play so great. But of course they need somebody leading them, and the relation has been really wonderful now. We have a program that is by no means easy, it is a program that I have been, when we start talking about the program, I have in my mind to do many different things, and of course, it's a popular concert. The Waldbühne, of course, we know that it is the last concert of the orchestra, and after they go on vacation, so it's always a celebration, it's a happy day. And the repertoire, most of the time, is popular and so on. And I was trying to do kind of a more international concert, but I know that the television wants very much this Spanish feeling on the program, and so I decided 3 ways program. I went for Spanish composers like Falla, Albeniz, Chapí, and wait a moment, Sarasate, 2 composers that has been write music about, they wrote music about Spain, even without being Spanish, but really being sensational, like Chavrier for España, like Rimsky-Korsakov doing the Capricho Español, you know, and like somebody that everybody even is considered Spanish, like Bizet, who wrote Carmen, was this arrangement of the Carmen Fantasy in Sarasate. And finally, I also found a very charming piece that is called a Spanish March by Johann Strauss. And we have, it has a kind of a feeling that if one doesn't do it like a pure march, but the tan tan tria ta 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 ti tariam pum. It has a feeling like in Madrid, the classical dance is called chotis. And it has this kind of feeling, you know. So I'm trying to do it with the orchestra to sound more Spanish than it was just a march. And finally, I like also to add, and of course, Falla, you know, in the big work. And I add also to the program something by a Mexican composer, Pablo Moncayo, which is Huapango, but is to show the influence of the Spanish music in these composers, in the Mexican composers, you know. Then of course they have is the feeling of the indigenous, some of the indigenous instruments, but with the tan 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 tit tit tam pim pam tak 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 tim pam pam pam. This feeling of going in 2 and in 3. Then we hear it in Falla, and we hear it, you know, this change of rhythms, which is very, very, very much Spanish. So finally, we came with a program that I think that it is kind of a Spanish atmosphere. We have also Lecuona, you know, written Malagueña and Andalusia, which there are beautiful pieces, and being a Cuban composer. So we try this. Spanish composers, composers writing about Spain and the influence of the Spanish music. The Waldbühne is a fabulous place. I have done some concerts there. The atmosphere is always a great party. And I am very lucky to have Sarah Chang playing, you know, Sarasate, the Carmen Fantasia, and the Zigeuner Weise, and also Ana Maria Martinez singing some of the zarzuela arias, you know, which there are so well known in Spain, you know. So I think that it is a wonderful program altogether. So let's hope that the public enjoy it, and of course the television public will.
I've actually performed with Maestro Domingo before. I first met him when I was about 10 years old or so. We did a concert together in Rio de Janeiro, where he was, of course, singing with his gorgeous voice, and I was playing. And then I think 2 years after that, we had a concert in Chicago where he was conducting for me. So I have shared the stage with him on the conductor's podium, and naturally, everyone, the audience, as well as the musicians who are playing with him and for him, just love him, just adore making music with him. And, you know, Maestro is fantastic with this, and the orchestra, you know, it's just second nature to them. You know, I can do whatever I want, and they know what I want to do before I even do it myself. So for me, this has been a great week. And at the same time, you know, I've always believed that the violin should sound like the human voice. And no, I think the human voice is by far the most beautiful sound in the world. And, you know, when Maestro starts singing a phrase when he wants to express himself but can't quite put it into words, he starts singing. And then, of course, everything clicks because we all totally understand what it is that he wants. Maestro Domingo obviously is one of my favorite tenors, and I've seen him singing the role of Carmen and the role in Parsifal, and he's amazing. He's amazing, and that musicality that comes through his voice, it is now flowing through his arm and into his conducting, and all of us musicians love him for it. I've done many, many open air concerts, mainly so because all the festivals in America, most of them, at least during the summer, are held outdoors, starting from the major ones at Tanglewood and the Hollywood Bowl in LA and in Chicago. I mean, most of the major orchestras play outdoors during the summer. So I've been doing open air concerts since I was 8 or 9, and it's a lot of fun. With all the rain and the thunderstorms and the mosquitoes, we all love mosquitoes. And of course, it's not so fantastic for the instruments itself, but you learn to live with it, and it's an experience in itself. I think virtuoso pieces have had a special place in my heart for many, many years. My first CD that I ever made was with these pieces, with the Carmen and the Paganini and all these favorites that I've grown up with. And I think, in a way, it does show what the violin can do, what it is capable of doing, and they're firework pieces. You know, they're exciting, they're fun to play, and the audience hopefully will enjoy themselves, and for me as well, because it gives you a chance not to show your musical side, but also to just have fun and let go and just have a great time. I am very interested in the culture. Unfortunately, I've never lived in Korea. I was born in America, and I've been raised there for my entire life. But I do have family there, of course. And whenever I play in Asia or in Korea, they spoil me rotten because I think, in a way, they regard me as a daughter in a way, you know, which is very, very sweet. But at the same time, I think I have the best of both worlds. You know, I have my parents who are very Korean, and my friends who, in America at least, of course, are completely Western. And I spend a great deal of time in Europe as well. So it's a very, very nice balance, and part of the process of growing up and finding out who you really are, because it's who I am. It's what keeps me going all the time. My parents are extremely supportive. They are both musicians, so they understand what it is that I'm going through, which is a huge comfort most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time. And I have a brother who is 13 and who keeps me grounded because, you know, he's a sweet kid, and it's nice for me to always have somebody to go back home to. You know, it keeps me grounded, and when you're traveling so much and playing concert after concert, it's really nice to have a home ground. And I think any parent, it doesn't matter what ethnic background you're from, you know, that parent and child connection, that's very, very strong, and that's a bond that nobody can break. So I hope everybody is as lucky.